The data suggests that US is now the biggest market for Indian iPhones.
Not just iPhones, Shweta, and that is the beauty of it. So while we've gone gaga singing the iPhone story, with such rhythm that, India is making great iPhones, iPhones in India will get cheaper, this and that, that isn't really the real story. The real story is smartphones of all kinds, not just iPhones, even the Samsung phones and all other phones which are being manufactured in India right now are seeing huge export growth. Not just domestic growth, even export growth. And US is the biggest market. Almost a third of India's smartphones, again, not just iPhones, a third of all smartphones that India makes goes to the US, followed by the United Arab Emirates, UAE. So these two markets are the big chunks of where India-made smartphones are getting exported to. Now, if you look at the overall pie, last year India had exported, in FY23, India had exported about $11 billion worth of iPhones. This year, in the first 4 months itself, we are almost at a figure of $5 billion. So from 11 billion last year across the whole year, we've done about 50% of exports already covered in the first 4 months. So, the numbers are really adding up well. In the overall pie, if you were to look at the overall pie, $4.7 billion worth of phones being exported from India, about 1.7 billion are going straight to the US. Now, this number has actually seen a 4-fold increase between last year and this year, where we were just about in the vicinity of about $300-400 million worth of phone exports to the US.
$1.7 billion.
This number is $1.7 billion. So obviously, I think it's not just cheap data. It is not just, a great consumer sentiment, which is propping domestic sales of phones. The whole world is seeing more value in India-made smartphones. But a little caveat here, I think this is also happening on the strength of the US dollar and the consistent weakening of the Indian rupee, which makes Indian exports far more lucrative. So if the Indian dollar, if the Indian rupee appreciates against the dollar, then this sort of, growth momentum that we are seeing in exports could see a little bit of a dip.
All right, but good news there as far as India's smartphone making capabilities is concerned. It appears that a lot of smartphone market, a bigger share of that pie is now captured by India, and India is exporting heavily there to the US. The exports to the US growing multifold, at least 3 times in the past 1 year.